Welcome. I'm Sebastian Mahfood, and you're listening to WCAT Radio, the on-air wing of En Route Books and Media, bringing you the dulcet sounds of Catholic wisdom.
Welcome to Living the Gospel of Life. I'm your host, Leticia Velasquez. I will be broadcasting clips that I recorded at the Vita et Veritas Conference at Yale University, September 28th and 29th. This is a pro-life conference in the middle of Yale University, put on by Clay, Choose Life at Yale. And I'll be interviewing, giving you clips from the speakers, and interviewing various attendees at the conference so that you can see that the pro-life movement is intellectual, the pro-life movement is young, and the pro-life movement is interested in science. Today's and tomorrow's theme, the theme for the conference, is Science and the Pro-Life Movement. So right in the heart of Yale, not a very pro-life place, we have science and the pro-life movement. Tonight we're going to hear from Karen Gaffney, who is a pro-life activist and an athlete. This young woman swam Lake Tahoe and swam the English Channel. You might have heard me talk about Karen before because Karen has trisomy 21, also known as Down syndrome. So she's been my hero for many years. As you know, I'm the mother of a child with Down syndrome, and I've spoken of her as a role model. Next, tomorrow we're going to hear from Kelsey Hazard of Secular Pro-Life, Mystery Solved, When Human Life and Rights Begin. And then we'll have Leah Labresco-Sargent later, talking about Through a Sonogram Darkly, Seeing Mothers and Children in Medicine. There'll be a talk from William Hurlburt of Stanford University Medical Center, Gene Editing, Embryos and Ethics. Nick Nickus of the Bioethics Defense Fund, Bioethics and the Law. And finally, Melissa Mochella, Catholic University of America, Reproductive Technology and Human Dignity. So there's a number of very interesting speakers that I hope to get clips of and perhaps interviews if I'm lucky. And I'm also asking some of the pro-life students to come and talk with me, although they're looking shy right now. So we'll see how we do. So stay tuned, and hopefully this will be more than one show. If we get enough material, you can share with me the intellectual buzz. You can hear the energy in this room. The intellectual buzz of Yale pro-lifers. Isn't that amazing? All right, I will hopefully give you several different clips so you can get a real taste of the atmosphere tonight.
We were founded in 2003 after the Yale administration held vigil for the 30th year anniversary of Roe v. Wade. We strive to just create kind of a culture that promotes life and the dignity of human life in our weekly meetings, discussions, and other events that we hold, and to support policies that ease the difficulty of pregnancy on campus. And one of the biggest things we do every year is Vita Veritas, where you are now. This conference is in its 6th year, and so it was founded in 2013 to Choose Life at Yale, including Courtney Horton, sorry. And so our original team wanted to bring this pro-life message to Yale's campus and to a broader audience, and something that has grown into what you see today as one of the largest pro-life conferences in the Northeast. So thank you all for being here. And I would like to just take a moment to introduce Tyler Longmister from the Knights of Columbus to say a few words. Tyler is a program manager of life-based initiatives for the Knights of Columbus here in New Haven, Connecticut. He oversees the implementation and growth of programs like the March for Life, Special Olympics, Ultrasound Initiative, and many others. So Tyler, if you could come up here and say a few words.
Hello, everyone. It's a great honor for the Knights of Columbus to be one of the many supporters of the Vita et Veritas Conference for the 5th straight year in the city of our founding. From humble beginnings in New Haven, Connecticut, Knights of Columbus have grown into a Fortune 1000 insurance company, the largest Catholic fraternal organization in the world with nearly 2 million members, and we continue to be unwavering leaders in the global pro-life movement. The result of the 2017 marriage poll on abortion, which the night sponsored, showed what many of us already know. Americans support significant restrictions on abortion and consider abortion morally wrong. This is because science is clear. At the moment of conception, there is a distinct human being present with his or her own unique DNA. The recognition of truth and science has created a real energy and youth behind the pro-life movement, which is evident here tonight. It's important now, more than ever, to work for the cause for life. One way to support this cause is to attend and help grow the annual March for Life, where Knights of Columbus have been present since day one. In a 2010 profile, Nellie Gray, the founder of the March for Life, spoke about how the march came to be. Quote, "I received a call from some Knights of Columbus. I didn't even know who they were, but they explained their stance against abortion and needed a place to meet to discuss plans for a march. That place was my living room." End quote. And today, the chairman of the board of the March for Life is Patrick Kelly, who is the Deputy Supreme Knight of the Knights of Columbus. The Knights volunteer countless hours and contribute financially to the march, and most visibly to the tens of thousands of Love Life, Choose Life signs that you see on the National Mall every year. Our support for the March for Life extends to local and state marches, in addition to marches in Canada, Mexico, and the Philippines. The Knights are also committed to actually saving lives. Research is telling us that the vast majority of women who view an ultrasound of their baby choose life. Mothers and fathers need to see the life they have created. In the last 10 years, the Knights of Columbus have donated 979 ultrasound machines valued at $48 million to pro-life pregnancy centers. If each donated ultrasound machine saves just 4 unborn children per week, the Knights of Columbus will have saved over 1 million lives. That is not an exaggeration. 1 million lives. St. John Paul II famously stated, quote, "Society as a whole must respect, defend, and promote the dignity of every human person at every moment and in every condition of that person's life." Knights of Columbus have answered that call by donating to and volunteering at Special Olympics events every year since it began in 1968. Eunice Kennedy Shriver, the founder of Special Olympics, was the sister of President John F. Kennedy, who was a Knight of Columbus. Eunice's husband, Sergeant Shriver, who co-founded Special Olympics, was also a Knight of Columbus. Last year, Knights of Columbus donated $14.7 million to Special Olympics and other events for the intellectually disabled, in addition to volunteering over 1 million hours of service at more than 12,500 Special Olympics events. And that's not all we do. We save persecuted Christians in the Middle East. We rebuild cities destroyed by ISIS. We provide relief to communities suffering from natural disasters. We have Knights on the ground in North Carolina right now. We support pregnancy centers who are on the front lines in this battle for lives, and we pray. Prayer is foundational to all that we do. Many of you have traveled from universities and colleges to attend this great conference. The Knights of Columbus have councils on 374 college campuses with nearly 35,000 Knights. Do you want to increase the pro-life presence on your campus? Reach out to the Knights of Columbus. They will help you. Work with them to transform the culture on your campus. And be sure to visit our booth tomorrow for more information. Thank you for all the great work that every single one of you do to promote the culture of life. As our Supreme Knight Carl Anderson said, what greater legacy can a council have, can any of us have, than to save the life of a child? Thank you.
including an honorary doctorate degree from the University of Portland and induction into the CYO Athletic Hall of Fame in Portland, Oregon. Without further ado, please join me in welcoming Karen Gaffney as our keynote speaker of VITA this year.
Thank you, Vivian. Good evening. I have a small window of time this evening to accomplish a pretty big objective. You see, it is my goal to have all of you walk out of here tonight with a new understanding of what Down syndrome is today and the promising future we can have thanks to scientific breakthroughs. I also want to shine a light on the challenges we face, also due to scientific breakthroughs. So, let's begin. I should probably start by telling you a little bit about Down syndrome. The first thing I should tell you is, I have it. It is not a disease. You can't catch it from someone. It's not contagious. And I certainly don't suffer from it. I just have it. Do you remember your high school biology class? Where you learned that our bodies are made up of cells? And every cell in your body has a set of chromosomes? Now, does that sound familiar to you? Sure it does. And as most of you know, you have 23 pairs of chromosomes in every cell in our body. That's all Down syndrome is, just one extra chromosome. It's just a small piece of an extra chromosome that you can only see with a special microscope. About 60 years ago, Dr. Jerome Machine and his research team mapped out the chromosomes of a lot of people like me and found one extra one attached to the 21st pair. Now, you might be wondering why we call it Down syndrome. Why not call it something like Up syndrome? Or at least something more positive than Down. Maybe like Yin syndrome. Well, it turns out, about 150 years ago, there was a doctor, John Langdon Down, in England, who first determined that all of us have similar characteristics. He didn't know about the extra chromosome. That came much later. But unfortunately, we inherited his name anyway. How many of you have met someone with Down syndrome? Wow. I'm sure many of you have. Maybe you have a sister, a brother, a cousin, an aunt, or an uncle. Maybe we were in your classes in grade school or high school. Well, now, you all know one more person with Down syndrome. Me. And I'm very happy to meet you. Now, another thing you should know about me, besides the fact that I have Down syndrome, is that I am a swimmer. I am a long-distance, open-water swimmer. A really long-distance swimmer. In fact, I can probably swim much longer and much farther than anyone here in this room. I may not be faster than you at the start, but I will outlast you on time and distance any day of the week. Now, if any of you are thinking about taking me up on this challenge, you should know I have some pretty big open water swims on my resume. A few years back, 6 of us from my hometown jumped in the water at Shakespeare Beach in Dover, England. And we swam until we reached Cape Blanc on the coast of France. And I became the first person with Down syndrome to swim a relay across the English Channel. After that, I took on Lake Tahoe, and I swam 9 miles nonstop, right across the width of the lake, from the Nevada shore to the California shore. That swim took me 6 hours to complete. I also like to tell people that I'm the first person with Down syndrome to escape from Alcatraz. I have done that swim from Alcatraz Island, where the prison used to be, all the way across the San Francisco Bay, 16 times now. And unlike the famous prisoners who have attempted that swim, I have lived to tell about it. I've done many other open water swims in Donner Lake, the Boston Harbor, Dunbury Harbor in Dublin, Ireland, a 5-mile swim from Molokini to Wailea Beach in Maui, and an 8.5-mile swim from Vermont to New York across Lake Champlain, just to name a few. I swim 2 miles a day before I head off for my job at Providence Health Services in Portland, Oregon, where I live. That's right, I have a good paying job because I was able to graduate from high school with a regular high school diploma. And then I went on to earn a 2-year college degree from Portland Community College. Nothing special, just a regular 2-year Associate of Science degree. Now, I want to make sure you know that I am not the exception for people with Down syndrome. You see, if you put your head up and look around, you will see and hear and read about phenomenal accomplishments of those of us living with Down syndrome all around the world. You will learn about people who are graduating from their high schools, stumbling on colleges, learning employable job skills, knocking on the doors of the companies in their communities, or starting their own businesses. Stories are pouring into websites and Facebook pages all around the world, celebrating phenomenal accomplishments of people with Down syndrome. People who have fought all the odds and are living and growing and contributing in the communities where they live. You'll probably read about the 17-year-old open water swimmer in Italy. Last summer, he was at the beach with his dad, and they both saw 2 young girls being swept out to sea with a riptide. They didn't hesitate. The lifeguards were too far away. They both dove in and reached the girls. Luckily, the 17-year-old had life-saving training, and he knew just what to do. So he and his dad brought the girls to shore, just as the lifeguards arrived. Both girls would not have made it to safety without that 17-year-old and his dad. Oh, did I mention that 17-year-old has Down syndrome? You'll read about some talented actors and musicians, golfers, surfers, hockey players, fashion models and fashion designers, hard-working employees, public speakers, open water swimmers, and even some who have escaped from Alcatraz. All showing what is possible with a full and inclusive life in the communities where they live. So, I'm sure by now some of you are thinking, well, why is this so incredible? And what's the challenge here? And I will answer both those questions. The Down syndrome you see today is incredible. Because 16 years ago in this country, people like me didn't even have a place in the classroom. Families had already started turning their backs on placing babies who were born with Down syndrome into institutions, which was often the advice 60 years ago. Instead, they brought their babies home and raised them with their brothers and sisters. But the neighborhood school was still out of reach for them. However, Families ignored those who said we couldn't learn. They pulled together with other friends and supporters they couldn't list. They started knocking down doors. When that all stopped, standing up for our rights and getting legislation passed that allowed people like me into the classrooms of the 80s and 90s. And then we started getting into classrooms all around the world. For many of those families, it was too late for their children. But they made it happen for my generation and for the generations to come. I know that it is far from perfect. Breakthroughs haven't come for everyone. We still have battles to fight for inclusion in too many classrooms around the world. And employment is still a huge hurdle for us. But you cannot ignore the tremendous progress we have made. Scientific breakthroughs in medical care, along with education and inclusion in the classroom, have paved the way for us to be included in this world. That's why our accomplishments are so incredible. Because we are breaking new barriers every single day. Just watch us. So, what's the challenge? Well, I'll answer that question too. You see, those of us with Down syndrome and our families face a very difficult future. We face the possibility of wiping out all that tremendous progress we have made in the last 50 to 60 years. Why? Because just as we are making so much progress, a whole industry has grown up. An industry that is focused on prenatal screening. Screening that targets Down syndrome. Screening that would wipe us out before we even take our first breath. Without timely and accurate information about what Down syndrome is really like today. If the test shows an extra chromosome, babies are being aborted. Except for those who say, I know it's different Down syndrome. Or, wait a minute, let me learn more about this. However, there are many experts in the medical community who will say this extra chromosome we carry around is not compatible with life. And they'll discuss abortion instead of the real story on Down syndrome. Not compatible with life? So think about that for just a minute. Think about the people we just talked about. Think about other people you know with Down syndrome. Your cousin, your brother or your sister, the person you see at the grocery store, or maybe the person who is in your class in grade school or high school. Or think about me standing here. Am I not compatible with life? After all the progress we have made, all the barriers we have broken, all the odds we have beaten, I would say we are more than compatible with life. We are what life is all about. Our lives are worth living. Our lives are worth learning about. Our lives are worth saving. When Dr. Jerome June and his team first discovered our extra chromosome, they wanted medical researchers to use that discovery to find ways to improve our lives, not prevent them in the first place. Well, thankfully, we have some phenomenal medical research teams all around the world racing to outrun the prenatal testing industry and to do just that, improve our lives. They are working at breakneck speed to find ways to eradicate the medical and cognitive ill effects associated with our extra chromosome. the Global Down Syndrome Foundation in Denver, Colorado, the Jerome June Foundation in Philadelphia, the Newline Foundation of Boston are just a few of the organizations that are focused on medical research on Down syndrome. They don't want to wipe us out, ladies and gentlemen. They want to fix what is getting in our way. And they are also pushing Congress to increase the budget for Down syndrome research at the National Institutes of Health. And there is so much more to do. It was a wave of humanity that lifted us out of institutions, brought us home, got us into school, included us in a community of life. And it will require another wave of humanity to stop the targeting of Down syndrome all around the world. It will require people like you to stand up for us and with us, and to help us show the world that Down syndrome is a life worth living. Down syndrome is a life worth choosing. And, more importantly, Down syndrome is a life worth saving. Thank you for taking time to hear what I had to say this evening. Thank you very much.
Now is the time. If anyone has any questions. Yes.
If we know someone who's pregnant and finds out their baby has Down syndrome, who's a friend, where's a good place to point them to first to connect them with other families of people who have Down syndrome?
Yeah. So, if someone is having a baby with Down syndrome, what website should they look at to find out more information? Or people.
Right. They can look at different websites. I have a website too they can look at. And usually I'm the one checking emails every Saturday to find out who can help with that. So what I think you can do is just look at different websites.
Sharon, what about the National Down Syndrome Congress?
Right. There's the National Down Syndrome Congress and National Down Syndrome Society, where you can go and look at this website and see what babies are born with Down syndrome.
Those two are two national organizations that also have information on just about every community has a Down syndrome support service. So it's just about every community. You have one, I know you have one in Hartford, because one spoke at the National Down Syndrome Congress and the National Down Syndrome Society and the Global Down Syndrome Foundation, which are the three big ones in the U.S. to branch out from.
Awesome. Yeah. Any others? Right here? Yeah.
So thank you for the wonderful talk, first of all. I was wondering, because I'm a pediatrician, and oftentimes parents come to us with questions about what to do when a screening comes back positive, not just Down syndrome, but it could be PKU or cystic fibrosis or a number of other medical conditions that are related to genetics. And oftentimes they will either say, I will not have the test done because I'm not going to act on it, and other times they say they're going to have the test done because they will choose what to do with the pregnancy. Do you see value in having the information whether or not you will have terminated the pregnancy or not? And I guess the question is, what value do you see in these screening tests, if any? That was very complicated, actually.
Can it be helpful to screen for genetics?
I think it can be helpful to screen for genetic testing, but I think the moms have a right to choose whether to keep the baby or abort it. And I think that abortion is wrong, like I heard someone else say earlier. Mom, do you want to chime in?
Well, I think the most important thing to do is encourage people to get information. And whether or not they have the test, I think it's right to not push someone to take a test if they said, I'm not going to do anything anyway. I was in that position. But having information and sending them to places, a lot of Down syndrome support groups and other medical issues have support groups where families talk to families and get information and learn about what's going on and what support they can have, and there's probably no greater support group than a Down syndrome support group in all of the cities around the country. It's just a phenomenal organization, and they help the parents see that they're not alone, and that there's reason for hope, and it's just amazing what our children are accomplishing these days. Look at this little guy over here. We'll be probably watching him on stage here in the not too distant
He agrees.
I'd be happy to speak to that too. This is Theo, he's 3 months old. We found out before Christmas that he was going to be born with Down syndrome. Having that information, we knew. One of the things that Karen brought up was that there's so much being done now, studies and trials being done to help children with their cognitive development that are being born with Down syndrome. Theo happens to be a part of a study that is going on at the University of Texas Southwestern, and it is part of the study is giving the child through the mom in utero medication. And they're hoping that will help him cognitively develop at a normal rate, is what they've seen with the studies they've done for mice. So he's continued the medication post-birth, but having that information, parents can decide if they want to be a part of something like that. It's not the only study that's going on. So again, it's going to be an individual person's decision whether they want that information. I spoke actually last night to someone that had a child born with Down syndrome that was surprised. And she was devastated at first. She went through a grieving process that she openly talked about. Finding that information out initially gave me time to work through my thoughts and feelings and prepare the rest of our children for what life could be like. And again, every diagnosis and every individual is just that, individual. But I think that information ahead of time was incredibly helpful for us in making a determination that we were going to try to be a part of the groups that study this and make advancements. If it doesn't help Theo, then potentially help someone in the future.
Thank you.
There are some incredible studies going on. And Karen mentioned the Global Down Syndrome Foundation. It's the Linda Cernick Institute. It's doing some phenomenal research. And in fact, there are a lot of diseases today that we will cure, and we will cure because of Down syndrome, because of the research that they're doing on Down syndrome. The 21st pair chromosome, you probably know this better than me, but when we did the genome study, that 21st pair of chromosomes had a lot of regulator genes. And throws off the instructions to all sorts of things. And having an extra one is just an overexpression of some of that regulation, which gets in the way of cognition and other kinds of things. And they're learning a lot, especially at the Linda Cernick Institute, and I think UMass has a big study going on. They're learning a lot about Alzheimer's. Because of its extra 21st chromosome. And multiple sclerosis is another big connection that they are learning, and they have a lot of data because of Down syndrome. They have a lot of people with Down syndrome contributing blood samples and the like for the study, and there will be some phenomenal advancement as a result of that. And that will help Theo, and will help other family members of yours with things like multiple sclerosis and Alzheimer's.
Thank you.
Yeah, awesome. Do you have any more questions? Yes.
Very quickly, do you know what percentage of Down syndrome children are being aborted today?
I don't know.
67%
Okay.
that are prenatally diagnosed.
Let's see, sorry.
67 to 90%.
Yeah.
Got it. Nice.
When they're diagnosed, those that are diagnosed.
That's in the U.S.
Yeah, in the U.S. it's higher. In Europe it's up to 93%.
In Iceland, it's about 100.
Well, they're bragging in Iceland that they will eliminate Down syndrome. The problem is you can't, because you have to eliminate each person. You can't just eliminate a disease because it's randomly occurring without the population. But, by the way, Connecticut Down Syndrome Congress has a first call program. So if you need to call someone and talk, Connecticut Down Syndrome Congress, who has a conference coming up in Vernon in a couple of weeks, so they've got it. And the Lejeune Foundation is forming a Down syndrome only hospital in Philadelphia in the next couple of weeks.
Wow.
So things are going great.
What has been your greatest source of support in your life?
In my life, my parents. I'm a huge family of supporters of my family. My mom is 30 11 children, my dad's one of 7. So I think that was raised, I came from a huge family of supporters, and I really appreciate it. She has a lot of aunts and uncles and cousins. And a brother, too. Yeah, and a brother. Yeah, too.
Oh, we talked a lot about the dignity of those with Down syndrome because of potentially their achievements or because of the, their value of research. But how do you convince somebody just purely on the dignity of their own lives that it doesn't matter what they have to accomplish or what their worth is for research, that they're just as much human as everybody else and that they deserve to live no matter what? How do you really address that to people?
I think that people do have a right to live, and they do have a right to choose what they want to do in life. And from my advice to them would be, don't give up on yourself. I know you can do it, and just stick with it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And let's just give a final round.
We hope you enjoyed the program and will join us back for another show on WCAT Radio. This is Sebastian Mahfood. Good day.